After the bombs stopped falling in 1945, Britain faced a new crisis, not of war, but housing. Where were people going to live? Millions of homes were gone. Families were packed into slums and whatever wasn't falling down. Prefabs, Nissen huts, and crumbling ruins. Anything that had a roof was used. That was the housing stock in the late 1940s. So the government rolled up its sleeves and started to build houses. And for once they did it on a massive scale. Council estates sprang up across the country. New houses, blocks of flats, even those towering concrete monoliths we all know too well. And for working class families it promised a fresh start. Hot water, indoor toilets, a garden if you were lucky. But the dream of a new Britain where everybody was properly housed turned out to be a nightmare. In the rush to modernise, they ripped up entire communities. Streets that had stood for generations, gone. Neighbours split up. People rehoused on the edge of town, left starting from scratch in places that felt cold, empty and unfamiliar. The planners called it progress. Folk living there called it loneliness. By the 60s and 70s, the problems were impossible to ignore. Tower blocks crumbling, lifts never working, estates cut off from shops, buses and hope. The new houses were built cheap and they deteriorated quickly. Many became high-rise slums. Crime and unemployment overran these estates, but the tenants were trapped. Then came the 1980s and right to buy. It sounded fair. Let people buy their council house, and plenty did. But here's the twist. They never replaced what they sold. So bit by bit, the country's social housing stock was flogged off, and nothing new was built. Brilliant planning, that. By the 90s, council estates had been turned into scapegoats, blamed for poverty, crime, even broken Britain, as if bricks and mortar caused all that. But let's be honest, the real problem wasn't the people inside the estates. It was decades of neglect, bad policy, and no political will to fix things. Then came regeneration. Another lovely word. Usually means knocking down the old high-rises and replacing it with overpriced flats and a fancy logo. The original residents? Moved on, priced out, or simply forgotten. And now, we're deep in another housing crisis. House prices are obscene. Young folk have no chance of buying unless their parents have deep pockets. Renting's a joke, expensive, insecure, and often miserable. And council housing vanished like it was never there. The truth is, we never fixed the housing problem in Britain. We just buried it under layers of policy failure. And now we're living in the fallout. The mistakes of the past weren't learned from. They became the blueprint. Short-term thinking, blind faith in the market, and a complete failure to see housing as a basic human right. That's the legacy we've inherited. Council housing was once about giving ordinary people a fair shot, a home they could afford, a life with a bit of stability. We tore that down, and now we're wondering why nothing works. The rise of council estates was bold, their decline a national disgrace, and today we're still paying the price.